Yo, what is up guys? Trader Mayne here with another video for the altcoin series. Quite a bit has happened since the last altcoin video that I've done. Bitcoin is down trading in the $30,000 range now. We finally lost that $40,000 range. So a lot of altcoin setups that might have been potentially looking bullish obviously got cooked. So in this video, what we're going to talk about are a few altcoins. Specifically, we're going to look at Luna, Solana, FTM, which we covered in the last video, and we're going to take a quick look at the BTC Dominance chart as well, do some TA on them, and then obviously give you some actionable information and plans, and then you can make your own decisions at the end of the day. That's what this is all about. Unfortunately, this is not going to be some bullish hopium videos. Mine rarely are. I try and keep it real with you guys, always give you kind of bi-directional advice. It could go up, it could go down. Here's a plan for either situation. Things are looking relatively bearish across the board on equities, on Bitcoin, and on altcoins. With what I'm going to share with you on BTC Dominance, things can get a whole lot uglier for a lot of altcoins. I don't want to be some, kind of just doom and gloomer here. I've uploaded a couple streams recently where I've talked about managing your emotions and things like that during these times. So definitely check out those previous videos I uploaded over the last week. In this video, I'm going to talk about these altcoins specifically. While we are potentially, on an area of support, I do believe any bounces across the board, whether it's Bitcoin or altcoins, are likely for shorting. You are playing against the counter trend. If you're looking to get long at these levels, it doesn't mean things can't bounce. You got to be safe, and I'm going to give you my plan on these coins in specific, where I think there is some support, if they're going to bounce, where they might bounce to, and if things continue to go down further, what are some downside objectives for these coins. Not your typical crypto YouTuber, here's the next altcoin that's going to make you rich in 100x for you, because that's just a bunch of bullshit. We already know this by now. As usual, if you guys have any questions, suggestions, anything like that, let me know. If you've been keeping up on some of the Twitter back and forth, BitBoy finally acknowledged our existence. Had a little back and forth with BitBoy, challenged him to a debate. I doubt he will respond. I know very well that BitBoy doesn't even write his own content, barely has any idea what he's talking about. So I'm pretty confident in any sort of debate around trading or investing, I would absolutely wipe the floor with him. Now, if there's a hot dog eating contest, I might have to bow out in that instance. Damn! But pretty sure any sort of intellectual altercation that we may have about crypto, I got it covered. I doubt he responds, but BitBoy, if you're watching this, which you should be because you might learn a thing or two. The offer is out there, let me know. But with this video, we're gonna talk about what we usually talk about. We're gonna look at the charts, no bullshit, no fluff, just gonna be real with you. What I think, obviously, none of this is financial advice. Do your own research always. Let's get into the video. I think this is gonna be a good one. Real quick, wanna give a shout out to the sponsors and partners of the stream. So I've been working with Prime XBT, as you guys know, for a while now. We are running a new promotion. So using that same code, Mayne50, and the link in the description, you can now get up to $7,000 in deposit bonuses. It's a free money discount. So I'll leave all the info you need in the description below, but you use the link, you use the code MAYNE50, Mayne50, and you can get up to $7,000 in deposit bonuses. So check that out. I'll leave all the info you need to sign up and take advantage of that below. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always message me on Twitter, on Discord, and I'm more than happy to do my best to answer them. And if I can't, I'll pass it along to the Prime team. So thank you so much to the Prime team. The second partner for this video is Syscoin. Syscoin is a blockchain platform that's trying to take the best of both Bitcoin's security and Ethereum's malleability and scalability and create a protocol that will allow people who are creating applications on the Web3 to do so on an awesome platform. I do own Syscoin personally. I want to be very clear about that. Syscoin's actually been around since 2014. They're continuing to grow the ecosystem, continuing to work on things and develop. Most recently, they've partnered with Pegasus, and Pegasus is now running their test net on the Syscoin platform. They've also just partnered with Decentralab. Another important part about that partnership is they're actually working with Chainport, which is the bridging service offered by Decentralab. So it's going to be a hard security next-gen cross-chain bridge, which will support full interoperability. So being able to chain your coins between different bridges is obviously obviously something that's very important in DeFi. You want to take advantage of whatever farming and staking opportunities there may be on different blockchain protocols. You need to be able to bridge them. They're continuing to grow. This is an ecosystem and a coin that has continued to iterate, make new partnerships, continue to grow the ecosystem. Thanks so much to Syscoin for obviously partnering with me on this video. Again, this is me talking my own book here. This is a project that I own and I believe in, so do your own research obviously before making any decisions at all. With that being said, let's get over to the other screen here and let's start breaking down these charts. All right, guys, over at the other camera now. Not going to be probably the most bullish video in the world, maybe short-term bullish, but overall, a lot of altcoins look really bad. And, you know, looking at the monthly chart on a coin like Luna, this goes back to what I've talked about in tons of previous streams over the years, because that's how long I've been putting these videos out. You know, things cannot go up forever, and oftentimes when you see things getting extremely parabolic like this on the very high time frames, they usually go down just as quickly as they go up, and it can be violent. You don't want to get caught holding the bag. I uploaded a stream on Sunday of last week and then a clip of it talking about, you know, altcoin bags and how a lot of the altcoins that were around in previous cycles no longer are. You can't marry your bags. I am in crypto to make money more than anything. Number two, I'm in crypto to own as much Bitcoin and Ethereum as possible. And I use altcoins as a vehicle to get more Bitcoin and Ethereum. Are there altcoin projects that I think are cool and that I believe in and that I want to own long-term bags on? Absolutely. But the decisions I make in terms of purchasing and investing into those assets are based on the high time frame charts. I'm not really looking to, you know, trade them on an intraday basis. And I'm also realistic with myself. When things get crazy, I take profits and I look to add back lower. Being someone who's been around for multiple cycles, I can tell you things are ugly now. They can get way uglier if things continue to be bearish on both Bitcoin and just kind of the macro picture, looking at things like equities as a whole. If Bitcoin decides it wants to drop another 20-30%, altcoins can get really, really ugly. We're going to kind of give you some examples of what I mean with these altcoins I've selected today. So we'll start with Luna. Looking at Luna here on the monthly, we've had this crazy run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight green monthly candles in a row. Over that 7-month time frame, we went up 2,000%. So if you bought Luna after it closed through 20, let's say, and made a higher high on the monthly here, at what point do you take profit? Because you're just in pure price discovery here. So at some point, you're up 2,000% on something. Could it go up 3,000? Could it go up 4,000? We don't know. Possibly it could have. But at the end of the day, these types of moves always end in something like this, and you give back a large percentage of those gains very quickly. So you had, you know, essentially 2 months of vertical price action eliminated in the next bearish candle. So you have to be realistic with yourself. And what I mean by that is you have to have a plan. When things are in price discovery, sure, you can use fibs to, you know, plot potential extensions where price might stop and things like that. Personally, I always have a plan if I'm in an altcoin and it's gone up, you know, 5, 10, 20x, where I have just hard take profit levels and I live with the fact that it might go up further. Right? You have to be happy making money and catching the meat of the move and realize that no one bought here and sold here. And what you don't want to do is be the guy who bought here, was up 200+% and are now holding all the way back down to here and potentially to break even and lower. Lock in those gains, right? Nothing goes up forever. So you may ask, well, you know, Mayne, Luna went up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months here. Yeah, it had a big retrace, but then it went on another run. Well, I always talk about this in videos. I say all my plans are based on whether or not Bitcoin shits the bed, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin is still the king of this market. We're going to actually talk about why that's important when I cover BTC Dominance here. But what happened here when prices topped? Bitcoin died. What happened here when prices bottomed? Bitcoin found a bottom and went and made a new all-time high. So Bitcoin is something you always have to watch, because most of these altcoins, while you can trade them against USD, are usually valued versus BTC, right? Just because this is going up versus USD, if it's not going up versus BTC, you're better off just in BTC. Those ratios we've talked about and done videos on in the past, right? So obviously monthly looks ugly. I have no levels here until like, you know, 20 bucks on Luna, which is crazy on the monthly chart. Going down to the weekly looks equally hideous. This looks like a clear blow off the top, right? And yeah, we're finding some support here. So I do think there's a chance that we could see a bounce here on the short term. But again, I would not be be really expecting this bounce to lead us back to all-time highs unless we start getting some serious changes in market structure on Bitcoin and, you know, at least some convincing macro related news that the stock market is not about to, you know, drop much further. One thing you want to be aware of with altcoins that I don't think most people are, and it has to do with math, and most people aren't very smart, so they don't understand math, is they say, okay, well, altcoins go down 80, 90% in a bear market. That's fine, right? Like if you bought at the top, okay, well, what's 90% drawdown on Luna? That's all the way back down at 10 bucks. So maybe you're a long-term believer in this project and you're like, I'm just holding for the next cycle, but you bought near the top. That's all fine and dandy. If you bought here and you're willing to hold for a 90% drawdown, which I don't think you should, I think that's stupid, but if you're willing to, sure. But what you don't realize is these things can drop 50% like it has now. You can have a lot of people saying, well, it's already dropped 50%. It's got to be a good buy. And while that might be true for a small bounce, Luna can drop 50% and then drop another 50% from here, 60%. So where you're like, okay, well, we're already 50% off the high. How much worse can it get? Well, it can go down another 50% from your entry and still not be down 90% from the very top. So things can get really ugly on altcoins, and, you know, trying to be like, oh, it's already down 50%. It's like, sure, it's already down 50% from the high, but it can go down another 50, 60, 70% from here where you bought in. And then if you bought in even lower, let's say you bought in down here, and you're like, this must be the bottom. Well, guess what? It can go down another 40, 50% from here and still be only 90% down from the high. So if you bought at the high, closed here, rebought, closed here, rebought, all of a sudden you're down 50% on your investment, another 50%, another 50%, as opposed to the person who just bought near the top and is holding all the way down. So you got to be careful just dollar cost averaging and buying, being like, this has to be the bottom and I'm prepared to add on my way down. I'm fine for dollar cost averaging in a bull market. I'm also fine with dollar cost averaging into a position, but the idea of just being like, okay, I'm going to buy some Luna here, buy some Luna here, buy some Luna here, it can drop 60, 70, 80, 90% from each of those entries, right? You can really get crushed on the way down on these things. You have to be careful. So looking at the weekly on Luna here, we have this weekly bullish order block, this weekly demand, whatever the hell you want to call it. We have run all of these weekly lows now with this candle, right? We are about to close as a weekly break in market structure, barring some sort of miracle. I mean, those would be kind of your two relevant levels there. We're definitely probably going to close below those unless we have some big rally tomorrow. Things are looking bearish. That being said, from a short-term perspective, because I'm a trader, we are into an area of support. We've had a huge sell-off. We're now into support. I'm interested in looking for a potential bounce. I don't think that this is where the low forms and we make a new all-time high. Could we? Sure, but I'm not going to make that prediction based on this chart. I'm going to make that prediction based on the Bitcoin chart. If the Bitcoin chart starts showing some strength, I'll start looking to get into some really macro positional longs on altcoins. But until Bitcoin starts showing that strength, I think any sort of bounce we see on Bitcoin and resulting bounces on altcoins are going to be opportunities for, you know, quick long plays that flip into short plays. So kind of like a move up here from weekly support, maybe into this kind of weekly SR here, bear flag, another leg down. That's what I think a lot of altcoins are going to do here, assuming Bitcoin has not found its bottom yet. Now, if Bitcoin's found its bottom, sure, maybe this is where the macro bottom forms, but macro bottoms usually don't form in one candle. They form after a dump. You get something like this, right? I talked about this in my last stream. You need to accumulate before you can go on a big move up and then obviously distribute and then back down. Any sort of huge run up that you see in price is preceded by a period of accumulation, because you need to have large players accumulate orders, accumulate a position that they can then use to push price higher, and then they start distributing on the way up. You're not going to see this go back to all-time high in just like one big green candle and then another big green candle. I mean, maybe, but that's not usually how it works. So this is an area where I think we could see a bounce. Again, I think any sort of bounce on these kind of coins is an opportunity to short. Doesn't mean you can't play the long side. Are we going to bounce 50%? Who knows? But even if we just bounce to this kind of level, that's a 25% move, and then I can potentially flip short. That's a trade I'm potentially interested in looking at taking. Big sell-off, high time frame market structure is bearish, but we are into a high time frame area of support, and I think a bounce before lower, kind of like we saw here, right? Everyone got bullish again, sent it lower. Wouldn't be surprised if it originates from this kind of area. Up towards 60 is where I'd look to close any longs that you get here if it gets that high, and look to short for another leg down because I do ultimately think that this heads lower. Looking at the daily, how did you know the top was in on this thing? Personally, daily market structure is my go-to for when the trend is changing. This entire way up, we maintained daily market structure, higher highs and higher lows on the daily. There's your high. Here's your higher low that led to that high, but this was an attempted higher low that should have sent price higher. When this higher low got snapped, you need to be selling that next bounce, and then you actually target here. And there it was. There was your top right there. Boom. No, you didn't catch the Pico top, but if you shorted Luna at like 80 to 90 bucks, like you're laughing all the way to the bank. Once we broke that daily swing low, that was to me the sign that the trend was shifting. There's your retrace. There's your continuation of the downtrend. And now we've got lower highs and lower lows, right? That's a lower low. Probably get a lower high. We are below all key SR here. We have our daily order block here within the weekly order block. We did not come and tag that. This could stab lower first, but I would probably look for an entry on the daily, the H12, the H4, and I need to see some reason to get bullish. So we're within that weekly area. The H12 is giving us our first potential sign of bullishness here, right? Potentially, if we can put in a higher low here, we've got a low, nice wick, nice little move up. We need to see a higher low form here before we get interested in getting in longs, right? Because there's no way that I'm longing this. If my target is here, right? It's like, oh, that's a 25% up move, but based on the weekly, my stop's got to go there. That's not good risk reward. So I'm going to look on the lower time frame for clues that maybe we're going to be putting in that bullish market structure and give me a tighter risk reward where I can get into a trade where my upside objective is around that $60 handle. So down on the H4, here's your first potential sign. You've got an H4 order block here. We came up here, rejected. We need to put in a higher low here. If we're able to put in a higher low around here, so between 47.70 up to 50, let's say. So this little range here, 47.70 to 50, it's this H4 order block. If we're able to put in a higher low here, so what would that look like? Well, the low time frame has to start looking better than this, right? I need us to put in a significant move here and then a reclaim. So something like this on like the hourly maybe, right? That could be your entry within this H4 order block. You could enter on the H4 order block right now. Personally, I would wait and probably see until it reclaims this little area here. I'd want to see it reclaim probably this 51 level. Get above there. Stop down here. Entry here, we're targeting up and towards 60, but this is where it's got to hold. If it does not hold here on the H4, I think that it can come all the way down to this daily order block, which is within the weekly order block, and then potentially get a bounce. However, if you're just buying now, right, you got to be aware this is another 10+% drop in price. So you don't want to just start averaging in here, hoping that the bottom forms here and then be like, oh, I'll buy more here. That's stupid. Wait for it to show some bullishness here. Obviously, we want to see Bitcoin catch a bid. So that would mean futures opening potentially green on Monday and then Bitcoin catching a bid. Then there's a good chance this is where that potential temporary low forms up into 61. If this area fails, if we make a lower low here on the H4, 43.50 is the next area where I'm watching for a potential bounce. But right now, we've got an H4 order block. This is right within our OTE, within weekly bullish order block. And I do believe if this thing is going to catch a bid and get some relief, it happens from here. Target would be around 60. Overall, I do think, assuming Bitcoin's bottom is not in, this does trade lower, but we could get a nice bounce play here towards 60 based on the weekly chart. So that's what I'm watching for on Luna right now. Still need to get a low time frame setup for me to personally get involved, but we are in an area where I'm scouting for those low time frame bullish setups. Let's look at Luna versus BTC. Yeah, we're in support here, but realistically, I think support really is lower. Like I think this is more realistic and I think this is more realistic as support. If you look at the weekly, we do have this consolidation, which I do think similar to the consolidation we're in right now on Luna USD could provide a small bounce. I generally don't like these order blocks that form in the middle of an expansive move. I don't think these are as good of support as ones that form where there's consolidation and then there's the move away. This is accumulation, right? This is reaccumulation. Reaccumulation on the way back down is not as good of support as the original accumulation area. I'll show you a good example of that on Sol when we get there. But again, into some high time frame support. Let's see if we get a bounce. Solana. This is what I meant by those kind of consolidations within an expansive move, right? We have this kind of 3-day order block here within this massive up move. So while I do think we'll get a bounce here, and we already have, we came in and wicked it, potentially getting a bounce here, I don't think this is real support. I think real support is actually lower. In the accumulation that led to this entire leg up, that occurred down here. So I think closer to 50 down to like 40 is a way more likely area for us to see a major bounce and a potential bottom form than it is at this kind of, 70 to 80 area here that we're in right now. So as much as I do think this area could give us a bounce and we're on some support right now, I do think wherever this kind of bounce goes to, probably an opportunity to short for another leg down, assuming the market continues to trend down. Solana, in terms of giving us a top signal, again, go to the daily, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. You had a couple of options here. What I explained on Luna works here as well. Here's the swing low that you would have wanted to see generate a new high. That broke. Here's your retrace into the bearish order block, continuation to the downside. Or you could have taken this swing low or this one. There's your swing low that led to the newest high. So here's your higher low and your higher high. Once we daily close through here, which happened in the middle of December, that's your next sell opportunity right there. That retrace is your sell opportunity. If I pull a fib from here to here, I bet you that's right around the 50 or the 0.62 if I had to guess. Pretty damn close. You've got a bearish order block here. Either way, this thing showed you that market structure was shifting on the daily bearish. You need to start looking to sell rallies, start exiting your positions. Another way you could have determined that this top was in, you have this previous all-time high here. Just like on Bitcoin and Ethereum, this worked really well. We made a higher high above. Once we started trading back below that high, time to get bearish. You don't need to catch this. If you flipped bearish on this thing below 215, you're fucking crushing it, right? If you were shorting or closing your spot positions, you're crushing it. So that's another good way that you can say, okay, maybe this rally is done, at least for now, is okay, it made an all-time high, it went above, back below, we're done. Bitcoin and Ethereum both did that really well. Here, all-time high, went above, back below, we're bearish. Same thing here, right? Went above this high, you could draw a high here as well, but went above, back below, bearish. Ethereum did the exact same thing. Here's your high, traded above, back below, we're bearish. Yeah, you didn't catch 4,900 Ethereum, but you got bearish at 4,400, you're crushing it, right? And again, daily market structure. This is your swing low. That broke, you're bearish once this broke, or even this one. Daily bearish market structure right there. There's the swing low that generated the newest high. It's confluent with that previous all-time high level. Once we close below there, you're selling the next rally. Goes right into a bearish order block and downtrend ever since. Bitcoin did the exact same shit. Here, remember back here, I talked about this when this happened. There was your daily break in market structure, sold off, big rally, right into a bearish order block after breaking daily bullish market structure, down since. Here's your daily swing low that generated the last high, and we barely even got a rally. We broke below, came right back up into it, lower highs, lower lows, you're bearish. Same thing works on altcoins. Solana, that deviation play, daily market structure, that gave you the top. So we are into an area of high time frame support. I do like this kind of run of the lows here and then consolidation above. If this thing bounces, my objective would be back into this low around 125, but this would be an area I'd be looking to short. All of these bounce plays I'm discussing are based on Bitcoin, not just running towards that 30K, 28 to 30K lows, right? That would be based on Bitcoin rallying higher, maybe to 40, 41K. But if Bitcoin rolls over to start the week and we do not have a green week, all of these plays are out of the question, and we're looking lower on all of these things. Maybe lower into these order blocks or potentially much lower because they're gonna have higher beta downside on altcoins based on what Bitcoin Dominance is doing. I'll talk about that in a minute. But again, want to see something on the low time frame here to get me long. 12 hour, we're potentially put in a higher low here, but I need to see Bitcoin put in some low time frame bullishness, Bitcoin not completely roll over, stocks not completely nuke to start the week if any of these bounce plays are going to play out. Right now, things are very precarious. This is just kind of like a bear flag, really. So if Bitcoin eats a dick, if this loses this lower trend line, it's diving lower, 68 to 76 for sure. But if Bitcoin is able to catch a bid, perhaps this is a low, high, higher low, and we maybe can make a higher high, right? before eventually continuing to the downside. Definitely something to watch is these kind of low time frame trend lines on all of these. If these things roll over and Bitcoin rolls over, these are all gonna nuke just like that, just like a bear flag. How do you play that? Wait for it to close below the trend line on the bear flag, short the next bounce, stop at the high that caused the break or above the bear flag. Area where we could potentially bounce here, need to see some low time frame confirmation before I personally get involved, but real support I think on this is much lower. This looks awful. Yeah, we could bounce from here, but again, real support on this, way fucking lower. And this does not mean that Solana is dead, because if you go look at Ethereum on a super high time frame chart, there are periods of it going down massively and then up massive. It doesn't mean Solana is dead. I personally like Solana long term. The fact that SBF, Almeida is involved, I think is bullish long term on the ecosystem. But if this thing's gonna drop another 50, 60, 70% from here, I don't wanna be holding it all the way down. If I can rebuy this thing at fucking $40, something like that, way lower, another 50% plus down from here, I'm much more interested in doing that than I am holding this all the way down. Doesn't mean the coin's dead. Ethereum's dropped 80% plenty of times and then continued to rally 90% plenty of times. But you don't wanna be a bag holder all the way down. Be realistic with yourself. And if things continue to get uglier, altcoins will go much lower than you expect, just like they went much higher than you expect. So don't give back all those gains you made in the bull market just hoping that this thing's gonna V reverse and make an all-time high, no matter what anyone says. The market will tell you, technical analysis will tell you when the bottom is in, because you're gonna see bullish market structure form, you're gonna see accumulation, and more importantly than anything, you're gonna see Bitcoin bottom out first. FTM, another one that, did really well, but is starting to look hideous. Looks like we've got like a clear double top here. We came into this weekly order block, had a nice big rally, but failed to make a higher high. So I do think if we come down and test this thing again, chances are it probably doesn't hold, but who knows? That's a big drop from here still, right? Another 40% down. So can get much uglier, probably will. Deviation play worked on this very well for the top. There's your high. Deviated above, back below, you're bearish. If you're not bearish based on that, based on us rejecting right into here, just deviated above that level, sold off immediately. If you're not bearish there, the fact that we've now closed below that key swing low there, this could have been it. This could be the lower high on this thing already. We've made a lower low on the daily now, made a lower low much earlier on the 12 hours. So this one would have been a little bit trickier, but the deviation play worked perfectly in my opinion on this one. Once we're back below there, this is now your risk. And you're shorting here, right? Your risk is here. If we get back above here, you're wrong and we go much higher. Looking at this thing, where is support? I personally hate how this looks, to be honest with you. So like we're bearish, obviously. This just looks like a bear flag. It's an ugly one, albeit, but it looks like a bear flag where we had a little bit of a breakout here, faked a bunch of people out, then ate a dick. This looks very similar. Kind of got a bear flag action happening here. Broke above it briefly, but again, I would be watching kind of this lower trend line here, right, of the bear flag. If we break below here, I think it's going down to like 150 at least. But if Bitcoin can bounce, all those things that I mentioned that would have to happen for these Luna and Solana bounces to be valid, it could be putting in some low time frame bullish market structure here. I'm still leaning bearish on FTM. If it gets a bounce, which it absolutely can, I'd be looking to reshort this thing higher. Where do I think it goes? If it gets a bounce, maybe it comes up, retests this level, makes a slightly higher high, I don't know. But any sort of bounce on this thing, I think is a shorting opportunity on a move up. Maybe it comes all the way up here. Like maybe we get a crazy bounce across the board and we see things rally 20, 30%, get everyone bullish again. If we come up here towards 270 to 290, I'm shorting this 100%. This is bearish market structure. Any sort of bounce is a short opportunity, but doesn't mean we can't look for a low time frame long. This one is not as clean as Solana and Luna for me. I don't have that high time frame support that we've tagged, but we've got some higher lows here. I think this is a pretty straightforward play. If we can put in some bullish market structure here, something like this, right? Get above here. Potential opportunity for long, stop there. Above here, above 240, much more confident in longing this thing towards here. I think that is your potential long setup. If we lose this trend line here, which is like the base of the bear flag, I think this thing rolls over. I think you can very easily short this, right? If we see something like this, if it just does this, you short that, your stop is there, your target is there. Kind of like what happened here. I mentioned these things kind of look similar. Here's your breakdown of the trend line. stop here. You know, you're shorting either the break. This is obviously a clear break. Remember, this is the 4-hour chart. You got some time. If that 4-hour candle closes like that below the trend line, it's kaput. Stop either here or here. Then you had your target down here. Similar kind of setup if we just get a breakdown and roll over on Bitcoin next week. Very similar to this. But let's see what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin itself, right? We're into monthly, weekly support here. I bought some spot Bitcoin here. I posted about it as it happened on Twitter. I bought in at like 33,000. So I'm already up 10% plus on some of my buys. My target is a lower high. Personally, I think this is probably a pretty key SR level here for Bitcoin. There's your highs. High, once we broke through, ran. Got below, rejected, rejected. Broke through, ran, retest, boom, support. So to me, if you got into any longs here, I think between this area here and this here, right? So this is a bearish order block. So we have that key SR. Bearish order block forms right at key SR. I think this is where you take profit. It could roll from here. We don't know. But I think this is where you take profit and look to short a lower high. If we're able to get back above 44,500, then I'm interested in talking about the bottom being in potentially, or at least a much larger bounce. But this is where I'm looking for this rally to stall. And eventually, I do think we take these lows. I could be wrong, of course, but this is just my plan for now. If Bitcoin is able to rally a little higher into here, that's going to be what gives us those potential bounce plays on those altcoins. Bitcoin dominance. A lot of people think Bitcoin dominance TA is a meme. I'm not one of those people. I think Bitcoin dominance is a super important metric to track. And what we're seeing here on Bitcoin dominance is a triple bottom into high time frame support. So we've got this high time frame order block here, triple bottom. This is starting to look bullish. If I zoom in here, what does this remind you of? Personally, this structure into high time frame support reminds me of the low of Bitcoin in the summer. Go back here, high time frame support. What we're seeing on Bitcoin dominance kind of looks like this. 1, 2, 3. This was like a quadruple bottom, but it looks like it's bottoming. And then we obviously had that huge rally. That's what I'm kind of seeing here. Similar. This looks like a bottoming structure to me. So I think we see a triple bottom potentially forming here. What that means, what this chart represents is the dominance percentage of Bitcoin versus the rest of the market. You can look at altcoin dominance, you can look at Ethereum dominance, but why is this important? If Bitcoin dominance is in an uptrend and it's bullish, that means Bitcoin is stronger relative to the rest of the market. So when Bitcoin is moving to all-time high in the summer, before it finally peaked out here, you know, where was 69K? 69K happened in November. So where's November on here? This is in an uptrend. We're clearly in an uptrend here. Obviously, high time frame, this thing looks like shit, but ignore that for now because this changes as well as new coins and things get added to the ecosystem. Like Bitcoin dominance is never going to get back to these levels that it was way back here when there weren't as many other coins around. But this was clearly in an uptrend in November. And then when this thing fell off a cliff, the top was in on Bitcoin. When did Ethereum, for example, go on its run? Remember this relative to Bitcoin. Bitcoin topped in April. Ethereum ran in May. We had that mini alt season. Bitcoin topped in April. Look what happened here. This is when Bitcoin topped. And then Ethereum and altcoins went crazy for a while before the whole market cooked, right? Well, Bitcoin dominance was going down. If alts are traded versus BTC, right? If Bitcoin dominance is down, if the market is going up, altcoins can significantly outperform Bitcoin. So when this happened here, Bitcoin was just kind of stalling, altcoins were doing this. So Bitcoin dominance going up doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to go up. What it means is Bitcoin is stronger than altcoins. Why do I think this is important? Well, if this thing breaks out of here and goes on a significant rally, while prices go down, that means that Bitcoin is going down, altcoins are going down way more. We're going to see a major rinse on altcoins if this plays out on Bitcoin dominance. If Bitcoin dominance is going up and the whole market is going up, that means it's a Bitcoin-led rally. Altcoins are going up, but Bitcoin is leading the rally. If this is going down, but the entire market is going up, this means that altcoins are going to be outperforming Bitcoin on those up moves. Alt seasons happen when Bitcoin dominance is in a downtrend. So people who are being like, hey, we're so close to alt season and shit like that, those people don't know what they're talking about. Bitcoin dominance needs to be going down generally, or at least sideways for alt season to happen. And the whole market obviously has to be generally bullish. So if this breaks out to the upside and becomes very bullish and the whole market remains relatively bearish, altcoins are going to go down way more than Bitcoin. So that's why I wanted to talk about this. And I talked about altcoins having potential to go way further to the downside. If Bitcoin dominance breaks out after this kind of triple bottom here, if it gets really bullish and Bitcoin itself remains bearish, that means when the next big drop happens, Bitcoin will go down, altcoins will go down way fucking more. Go pull up previous alt seasons, previous all-time highs on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, things like that. Compare it to this chart. You'll get some very cool insights. Definitely something to watch out for. Is this potentially getting bullish here while the whole market looks like shit? Means if Bitcoin continues to shit the bed, altcoins are going to get a whole lot uglier before they get better. I'm not trying to be 100% doom and gloom. Obviously, I do think bounces are possible here. I do think we are on support on Bitcoin, like I mentioned here. I do think this is significant weekly support. That's why I longed or bought some spot at least down here. I don't think bottom happens in one candle. I think it's much more likely that we have a sideways consolidation phase before a bottom happens, before another all-time high. Can it happen from here? I'm still inclined to think that we run this low. I don't know. Maybe we don't. Maybe we just get turbo cucked and this is the higher low and it's just, you know, low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, 100K. Maybe that's it. I'm happy if that's the case, obviously, because I will be mega bullish on the way up. But for now, high time frame market structure is bearish. So while I'm cautiously bullish for a bounce, I do think things will probably resolve lower still. It is yet to be seen how equities are going to play out, right? Equities have sold off massively. We caught this low, right? I posted this on Twitter. I said, we're going to run this low into this order block. We had a very big wick here, ran the low, tagged the order block. Nice recovery. We had something like that kind of happen here, right? Where we had a big sell-off, then we had a green week, and then ate a dick the following week. So if equities can rally further from here, maybe we have a market-wide bounce and then a lower high. I don't know. Or if this is just another crazy shakeout and equities continue to march on their way to all-time high, there's no way the low is in and Bitcoin is going back to all-time high unless equities continue to get back within this mega trend, right? They have to get back within this mega trend of just literal up only, right? Because we can do this and then sell off further. We can literally just sell off from here. I don't know, but we have to regain this fucking mega up only trend and we got to make a new all-time high on equities if the bottom is going to be in and we're going to see some significant action to the upside on Bitcoin. Otherwise, this is just a temporary move up before lower, and if equities want to do one of these things where it comes way back to these COVID levels, Bitcoin's going to 20K, altcoins are going way fucking lower. So just be aware, as usual, trying to give you kind of all different sides of the angle. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you got any questions, let me know and I'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, and that's all I've got for this edition of the altcoin series. Hopefully you've learned something as usual. Do what you can to help me out to continue to grow the channel and help with those YouTube algorithm things. Hit the notification bell, like the video, subscribe, leave comments. It all really helps. We are on a mission, as you guys know, to take down the orgasm face thumbnail picture YouTubers, the Moon Carls, the Bit Boys, the Cryptos. They got to go down, and this is the face, this is the mug that's going to take them down. So help me on that mission by following along to these videos and sharing them with your friends. As usual, if you have any suggestions, of course, let me know in the comments. And again, thank you so much to our partners on the stream, Prime XBT and Syscoin. Again, I'll leave all that information about them in the description of this video. And that's all I got. Love you guys.